So this is 28, right?
Yeah, 28
28.
episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, we're rolling here. I mean,
And
the
now we
weeks are
got,
flying by.
besides Alcatraz out in San Francisco, we got alligator Alcatraz.
Alligator Alcatraz. Yeah.
I think it's a very good move. No doubt
Well,
of no doubt about it. I praise Trump obviously, and I also praise DeSantis. I think it was a good move.
yeah, he put it up in 8 days.
Yeah. Well, it was an old base, not a base, but it was an
Right.
old airport. But
Right.
he redid it and remodeled and the whole 9 yards. And
Well, you already got people saying that this is inhumane.
oh, I know.
You know.
Well, it's funny the criticism that I heard.
Yeah.
Not so much it was a humane thing, but it was bad for the Everglades. It's going to ruin the Everglades.
Why?
It, I don't.
It's there. All we're doing is putting a house on it.
Right.
They're
And
not
putting
flying
people
in.
inside.
Yeah.
That's it. You're still going to have the alligators, the pythons. You're still
Right.
going to have all the birds. Still going to be the same. No different.
That was the whole idea. If
Yeah.
they,
Well, they got to do something to say something bad about
well,
Trump
they
and
also said,
DeSantis and everything.
they're talking about these alligators and nobody can escape. But alligators don't normally attack people.
Yeah. Well,
What?
you heard that too,
Go
right?
swimming.
I
Yeah.
heard the same thing.
Go
Well,
swimming.
they're talking about alligators. Alligators don't attack people.
Uh-huh.
Pythons don't attack people.
Yeah. Neither do
Yeah.
sharks.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how about you go swimming in the Everglades? See what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great thing. I really do. I think it's the right thing to
Oh,
do.
it's going to house over 3,000 bad people, not U.S. citizens,
Right.
not good U.S.
No,
citizens.
5,000, isn't it? Isn't there 5,000 beds supposedly?
I heard three, but yeah, it
Three.
could be, could very well
I
be.
heard 5,000. I don't know.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's a nice facility. It's going to be air conditioned.
Yeah.
It's hurricane proof.
And they got the runway there in case they want to deport people to another country.
Yep.
It's a 10,000-foot runway or 11,000-foot runway.
So this is kind of like what, a holding facility until they
Yeah,
get them on a
that's
plane or
exactly
whatever,
what it
right?
is. And supposedly they're saying that they could be building more of these things, or maybe one or two more someplace.
You know, DeSantis doesn't do any. You know, down there in Florida with the between the running over the rioters and now this thing, they move quick
Yeah.
and they're helping ICE.
Yep.
So
What
yeah,
else?
pretty neat facility. Well, we could talk about before we get into some other stuff.
Do all the wins for Trump?
Yeah, let's do all the wins for Trump.
He's
No,
got a lot of them this week. He had a pretty good week, actually.
yeah, he did. All right, so
Yep. And today they passed the bill in the Senate. Does have to go back to Congress, but it'll get to his desk probably by July 4th, hopefully, and he'll sign it. But
no,
what I want to know, Joe, and maybe you know this a little bit more, um, what are some of the Republicans complaining about? That Elon Musk took certain amount of money away, found overspending and a lot of pork and a lot of stuff that we do, and now Trump is just turning around and putting it back in. But isn't that going to help the economy?
well, I think Elon is angry because the money that he saved
Right.
is now may get spent.
Might get right.
But we have things that are offsetting, like all the, you remember, oh, the stock market is going to crash because of these tariffs. And now he made all the deals with the tariffs. We got billions of money coming in.
That's right. We do. Oh, we got a lot of money coming in. They talked about it today.
So that offsets,
Offsets it.
you know,
Yeah.
what we're spending here, hopefully. I mean, you know, we don't know 100% yet, but there's been a lot of myths about this and the
Right.
truth about that. And, you know, it's mostly like, I'll give you a couple instances here. So the big beautiful bill is just a tax break for billionaires.
Right.
The
That's
beautiful bill delivers the largest middle class working tax cut in history. People could put more in their pocket, up to $10,000 more a year in their pockets for typical working families, not billionaires.
right.
So it's really is a pro growth, pro family, pro worker kind of thing. And then it says, you know, other things makes life more unaffordable. Again, it goes back to that we can get more money in their pockets.
Right.
Now, the one thing that bothered me a little bit was the fact that they're not cutting taxes on Social Security.
Hmm.
Okay. But what we want to understand, and I'm going to find it here. Oh, let's talk about this. Illegal aliens don't get federal benefits.
Well, they shouldn't.
Right. Illegals burden taxpayers with billions of dollars in costs and free health care, welfare benefits, all this stuff. So the big beautiful ends Medicare and SNAP fraud. It's only fraud, and it's for people who not supposed to be getting it.
Right.
The big beautiful doesn't actually end taxes on Social Security. That is true. However, it does give a new tax deduction at the end of the year that should offset any taxes that were withheld. So we should get all that back.
Yeah.
Thank God I need extra money.
Yeah.
So, and then I read somewhere else that there are going to be some cuts to Medicaid, and some people will definitely be affected.
Medicaid, not Medicare.
Right. Medicaid. And some people will be affected, even the ones that are entitled to it. But it comes down, you know what the money comes down to? All they show is billions, right? But that's over 10 years. When you break it down to all people that are legitimately getting Medicaid, it might take $25-$30 a month out of their pocket of Medicaid benefits. So when you break it down to the ridiculous, anybody who deserves it should get it all. I understand that, but they have to make cuts somewhere, and during the fraud cuts and everything else, sometimes this stuff happens. But
now the tax cuts that he's doing, that he did in his first term, that's supposed to help everybody.
that's staying right. See, if that expired, we would have had a huge tax increase, and he's making this stuff permanent.
Yeah.
Too, so that the next whoever gets in doesn't, want to flip things around again.
Right. Market was up today, though, right? It was good.
The market's over 44.
Well, I was listening to it today driving on the road, and they said it was down. This was up. This was down. But it looks like here, Dow Jones was up 44.
400.
Yeah, 44, 826. The NASDAQ futures, 22,720.
Yep.
And S&P, 6253.
Yeah, Dow Jones jumped 400 points today.
400 points, yeah.
So 44, which I think is a record, 44,494.
Yeah.
So,
So if you got a 401k,
that guy we saw at Starbucks sold everything.
Yeah,
He lost everything. He sold it all.
That's right, people. You got a 401k, you made money.
Actually, you know what?
Really big.
My 401k, the truth of the matter is, when we were in that rough time, I lost almost 20%. Now I'm up.
Yeah, you're up. Yep.
Over and above. So that was good.
Yep.
But yeah, so with the big beautiful bill gets through, like you said, it goes back to the House. They do some other stuff, then it gets to his desk, and hopefully we get it signed.
Yeah.
And it's not perfect. And the one thing is, and here's a really
none of them is going to be perfect.
No,
even
not
when
everybody's going to
years ago, what other presidents doing, they weren't perfect. You're not going to please everybody.
No.
Not everybody's going to sit there and say it's great.
Here's what's funny, and I had it on and off a couple of times. They spent 18 hours, 15, 18 hours trying to take pieces of this bill and present it in a different way. And they'd vote nay or yay and did this and that, back and forth. And I was just watching it to try to learn what all this stuff was about. It looked like a big freaking circus to me.
Yeah.
Right? Back and forth, back and forth. So you know what happens? They finally go to vote after 15 hours of jerking around.
And it gets tied,
50-50.
and J.D. Vance breaks the tie. Yeah.
Now, one Democrat voted for it, and then you had a few Republicans. Obviously, we have a slight majority. Didn't vote for it either.
Yeah.
So how ridiculous is that? Right down the middle, 50-50. So you talk about our country being divided. There's your answer right there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, we are divided. No doubt about that. And I do blame Trump for that. Not in a bad way.
Right.
But I mean, he's the one that started all this. Because he's calling everybody out. He's finding the fraud. He's finding all the spending that we do.
Right.
All the dead weights that are in Washington for years. The corruption that goes with it and everything. He's bringing it out. He's not a regular politician like George W. Bush, like Clinton, like Obama, and all them. He was an outsider that kind of, just brought this all out to the front.
Yeah, and that scared a lot of people.
Oh,
still does.
Yeah. Oh, it still does.
You should have heard, what is the nickname for that one lady? Pocahontas?
Yeah, Pocahontas.
I watched her talking on this big, beautiful bill.
Yeah.
She hates everything he does. Doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
Well,
that's the other thing. When he calls people names, I know it sounds terrible. And
it
everything.
does.
He called her Pocahontas. I died when he called the leader of North Korea, Little
Yeah.
Rocket Man.
Yeah.
I was at work when I heard that. I just couldn't believe it. There was another salesman sitting with me at my desk, and we just started laughing. Little Rocket Man.
Well,
I thought that
he's
was
got a
great.
way to, you know, he, when he told the story about his buddy who wanted the fat pill, the fat drug, and it wasn't working. He
Right.
said, it's not working anyway.
It's not working, right?
But he had some. We got to give him some credit here.
Oh, I give him a lot of
The border
credit.
crossings are down to zero basically. Um, you finally got a complete ceasefire
Yep.
for this 12-day war. He's calling it now. I guess it was actually 13, but
Yeah.
so you know between Iran and Israel, the ceasefire so far is holding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a promising thing.
Sure, it is. Everybody was saying, "Oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to do this. There's going to be chaos. We're going to be into another war.
Right,
This, that, and the other thing."
right.
Nothing's really happened.
No, it's been good, and he's made another deal with China
China.
with
Hey,
the
and did you hear that GE made my, and I know this because my wife would tell me this all the time. She worked at Lowe's and she worked at Sears and she worked at um, Circuit City when Circuit City was still around. And GE appliances were made in China. Always was, and she would never tell people. She would try to steer them to go to like Maytag or a company that made they build them here. Well, evidently they're taking all their manufacturing of appliances, washer, dryers,
right,
dishwashers,
right.
refrigerators, and they're going to build them in Kentucky.
Wow.
Yeah, so
See, it's
I
work.
mean that's a big thing. That really is. You know how many
Wow.
jobs they're going to create?
Well, we still got the car companies going to be
Cars
doing
company
this,
doing
and
this. You got
yeah,
Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel going to be building a plant here or opening up in Pittsburgh someplace, and I just it's unbelievable. It really is. So, uh,
and going back to this war that he took steps. It was a bold step to bomb these guys,
yep,
and it worked. And this Secretary General Mark Rutt, I think his
yeah,
name is,
yeah,
lavishing praising Trump. He's from another country, right? And about his strikes on Iran,
yeah,
and you know during his visit, I think he went to the summit. Right? What were they doing? They were calling him Daddy or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
Daddy, yeah,
Freddie jokingly referred to him as Daddy. Yeah,
yeah,
because he stepped up.
yep,
He stepped up and it ended a war.
yep.
So that was kind of cool. And then what do we have here? The other win here was a Supreme Court issued a ruling to curb those district judges.
Well, it's ridiculous. He's the sitting
Yep.
president of the United States. He does an executive order. He starts deporting people, and then some judge from some I hate to say it, but some bumblefuck town
Yeah.
someplace puts
Yeah.
out a court order and stops him. What the heck is that all about? I mean, that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and they do it.
Talk about taking the president and putting one arm behind his back. You could be president, but you can't do everything that you're supposed to do. He's he's he was elected to keep America safe, to
Yeah.
keep the people of America safe. And
Hmm.
these judges are just trying to stop them and this and that. It's like, it's ridiculous. It really is.
Well, the thing is too is they do a nationwide injunction.
Yeah.
How do you do? You're a district judge. You're supposed to be
Right.
working on the case you're working on
Yeah.
in your
In your
district.
district, right. So I'm with the Supreme Court on that. I think it was the right thing to do. No doubt about it. But these people that are complaining about this, I saw on YouTube the other day a concert of Daryl Hall,
Hmm.
and he's in between songs like all these stupid uh,
Yeah,
acts do now on
everybody's doing it.
stage and
Yeah.
everything, like Bruce Springsteen and all that. They start talking politics. I mean, let me tell you, I would get mad. But Daryl Hall started talking about how wrong this guy is for rounding up people and deporting them. He's rounding up people that are illegal aliens that have a criminal record.
Yeah. That's what I was
Illegal
talking
aliens that
about.
have a criminal record.
Right.
You should have seen the people at the concert. Half the people left. They didn't like. They didn't really. Whether
Oh, I
they
did hear
they
that.
agree with him or not. Some people were saying, "What I spent good money to at this concert, and I got to hear this for half an hour."
Yep.
Nobody wants to hear that shit. You want to hear him play. If I go see Bruce Springsteen, who I happen to think is terrific, I want to see him play. I don't want to sit there and hear him talk about how bashing Trump and bashing the Republicans and bashing the country and this, that, and the other. You just
Right.
shut up and play.
Right.
You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I paid a lot of money to get in this seat, and I don't want to hear your political views.
Yeah.
If you want to vent here, that's one thing.
Right.
But, these judges were reaching way beyond, freezing funds and doing this over and over. And
Right.
it was an endless barrage of constantly, everything the guy did. Every time you turn around, somebody was trying to block this, block that. So we got rid of that. So they can't, block him. Now, one of the Supreme Court justices, and I will look it up because I don't know it off the top of my head, voted against Trump, saying district judges can do what they need and blah, blah, blah.
I think it was, what's her name? Right here. Justice Jackson. I think that was her.
That was the one that voted against.
I think that was, and then she had a little tiff with Amy Coney Barrett.
Yes. Well, somebody's got, and I got a clip of her talking in an interview, and I don't know who it was with. And she said, district judges should not have the authority over the president. It's her words.
Her words.
I'm going to find the clip. I'm
Yeah.
going to put it up here for a second. Hold on.
I think it was Jackson that
Hold on.
had that said that.
I'll
if I'm
clear
not
it up
mistaken.
either way. I'll
Yeah.
show you the video. And then
It's
you
either
can
her or
decide.
Kagan or Sotomayor.
Yeah. It might have been Kagan, but I'll find out. Either way, here's a clip. Listen to this. Talk about hypocrites.
That can't be right. That one district court, whether it's in the Trump years, people used to go to the Northern District of California, and in the Biden years, they go to Texas. And it just can't be right that one district judge can stop a nationwide policy in its tracks and leave it stopped for the years that it takes to go through normal process.
So there you go. So, on one hand, they say one thing, and then they vote against Trump. Again, I don't think she would have voted. She probably would have voted. I would bet you they would have had 9 votes in the Supreme Court if Trump wasn't in.
Right.
Because district judges, bottom line is they really shouldn't control the president. What the heck?
No.
Why do we have a president if that's the case? It's so easy, right? One of the other wins, he was Rwanda and Congo.
Oh my God.
You believe that? 30 years of fighting.
30 years of fighting. And he brokers a peace deal between two of them.
Yeah.
The two.
And they were in the Oval Office with him. She was a beautiful leader there, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
I should get the names. I never do. But she was there, and he brokered this thing. And after 30 years of fighting back and forth,
Then he
it's just
brokered
amazing.
Pakistan and India.
Yep. So
I mean, I don't know, they're saying that he could be up for the Nobel Peace Prize, but
yeah, that
if
will
they
never
did,
happen.
The left, they would lose their shit. If all of a sudden they came out with Trump's got a Nobel Peace Prize, what? You'll see the View. Their heads will be spinning on the.
Yo, that's it. Yeah, it'll be like the Exorcist. All right. The other thing this brings is access to minerals, too.
Sure. Oh yeah.
More minerals.
There's always an angle with him. He
Yeah.
knows he's 4 or 5 steps ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
He knows he's going to broker a deal, but he also says, "Yeah, there's something there that we could probably use and make a deal." You know what I'm saying?
And he did. United States now, they're going to have a lot more access to minerals in the Congo.
I don't think we've heard the last of the thing about Greenland.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that's going to come up again sometime.
Yeah, or
And he's
Canada.
either going to make a deal on renting the place for 50 years
Renting
or
it.
whatever, so
Yeah.
he can get minerals out of it, or actually make it an estate.
Yeah. Yeah, he said that too, right? So, and then we mentioned already the big beautiful bill went through, and there was a lot of positive news, but
Yeah.
everybody spins it the other way. But the guy's relentless, and you're right.
Yep.
Now, who was it? See, I don't come prepared, folks. I'm terrible at this.
Well, not really. Well, it's hard. It's hard to keep
Somebody
up with everything.
blocked Japan.
Somebody blocked who?
Japan from buying, or China from buying any more land in the United States?
Well, that's a great thing. They're
I
buying
know.
up land near
Yeah.
bases and things like this, and nobody gives a shit about it. Nobody said anything
I don't
about it.
think
This has
anybody
been going
knew.
on for 4 years
Yeah.
under the Biden administration, and nobody's saying anything about it. Wouldn't you be kind of weird that you're on a? I remember I lived next to Shaw Air Force Base in Sumter, South Carolina.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden 100 acres or 200 acres got bought up by the Chinese, I think a lot of the people in Sumter would sit there and say, "What the hell are they doing right near an Air Force base?"
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'll tell you, there's a guy named Tommy, and he works at Umberto's, Little Italy, New York.
Oh,
And he recognizes me
the
even though
famous
I'm not in the
Umbertos,
city. The guy, yeah, huh?
the famous Umbertos that
Yeah, where
had the
they
killing.
shot
Yeah.
Joey Gallo there, yeah. I was talking to him about Little Italy shrinking over the years.
Shrinking.
Yeah, Little
Well,
Italy used to
Chinese
be
are taking over there.
used to be a lot bigger,
Yeah.
and now it's cut down and cut down and cut
Mhm.
down. And he was telling me the majority of the buildings in Little Italy are owned by the Chinese.
Yeah. Well, my
He
grandfather
said the
lived there.
building that Umberto's is in
Yeah.
is
Well, my
owned by
grandfather lived
Chinese.
in an apartment there. He lived there for 30, 40 years,
Right.
right in the heart of Chinatown on Mulberry Street. When we used to go visit him, he used to say all the time, he says, they're taking over. He says,
Yeah.
they're all over the place. He says, it's unbelievable. This used to be a really nice, my grandfather didn't have a lot of money. He worked for a company called Well Built Stoves, which were made years ago.
Right.
He didn't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he was divorced from my grandmother, but he lived there. He stayed there. But he used to say that all the time. He says, and then he says, go, tiki taki, tiki taki. They're all they're doing is walking around doing. He says, they're taking over.
Yep.
But yeah, he lived on Mulberry Street like 30, 35 years. He lived on Mulberry Street.
Wow. Yeah, it's shrunk. So I didn't realize how many blocks it used to be, and
Oh,
all
yeah.
the restaurants.
Yeah.
My wife and I went to a place, Giovanni's. We used to go into New York at least twice a year, and we always went to Giovanni. There's so many restaurants; they're all good.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was 5 years ago, I guess we went, and we're headed for Giovanni's again. And we get there, and it's a big purse store.
Yeah.
It's gone.
My sister-in-law, she
gone.
loves the purse stores in
Yeah, they're all
Chinatown. She
fake-
would always
fake-
go in. It's like a little room,
Yeah.
and then they shut the door. And Dawn, my other sister-in-law, would say, knock on the door, get him out of there, get out of there.
Yeah. So we were sad to see that go, but I guess and I think it was even before COVID they went out. So
Yeah.
you got a lot of competition there.
Yeah.
You walk down Mulberry Street, for those of you who haven't been in New York or Mulberry Street, lunch hour or dinner or whatever. As you're walking down, they're coming out of the restaurants. Come sit.
Yeah.
Offering free wine just to get you to come in
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the competition's crazy. But the food is, no matter where you go,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so good.
Yep.
It's a beautiful place to visit if you haven't been there.
That was some of the best pizza I ever had. My grandfather
Yeah.
would, let's go down to there was a pizza shop on the corner amongst all the Chinese restaurants. Man,
Yeah.
the pizza was terrific.
Right?
Really, really good.
Yeah, we used to get like lobster raviolis and man,
yeah. We used to go to
Not
a
cheap.
restaurant, SPQR, and I'm not sure what that meant, but you see that a lot, those letters. And God, the restaurant was good.
Yeah,
Oh
huh?
man, very,
Cool.
very good restaurant in Little Italy. And
Uh,
Sophia's, that was good.
So this is a little thing I didn't know about AOC, one of my favorite
Oh,
Dems.
And before you get any further about AOC,
Yeah.
there's Trump, and maybe we talked about this last week or the week before, but there's Trump who orders these strikes on Iran.
Yes.
The B-2 bombers, they're in the air somewhere over wherever, in the Mediterranean or something, going to Iran.
Right.
AOC and Kester, I think her name is, or his name, from Illinois, Congress, they come out and they propose to impeach Trump while these planes are in the air, ready to bomb.
Yeah.
Do you know what? They should be brought up in front of Congress. They should they should be banned. They should be kicked out of Congress or whatever they were in. It's ridiculous. You don't do that when there's an actual bombing ready to go off, and then you're going to sit there and say, we want to impeach the president. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, they also found out this guy that leaked some of the information about the aftermath could have been tied to the Democratic Party. Leaked it to New York Times or somewhere,
Yeah.
and they he had no authorization to get that until they knew what was going on, and that's how this whole spin started with. It's not destroyed, it is destroyed. And,
Right.
you know, if I take this cup and I smash it on this table and it breaks into a million pieces, I think that's destroyed.
Yeah.
Just because the handle's still good doesn't mean it wasn't destroyed. Those bombs, in last episode, watch 27, I explained how those bombs work.
Yeah.
There's no way that we didn't do damage. Look, we don't know if they moved out some of their uranium. We don't know a lot of things, and there's activity on the sites already.
Yeah.
Bulldozers, and they got all the satellite stuff. They can read
Right.
newspaper headlines from space.
We didn't hurt one Iranian.
No, apparently not. I didn't hear about any deaths.
I mean,
Unless they were
yeah,
in that
no.
hole.
Unless they were in the hole, which I think that they probably were. I mean, I'm sure there's
I'm
people.
thinking.
I'm thinking, but I mean, no civilians, no nothing.
Yeah, the guy's sitting there in his bunker. He's eating dinner, and his big pipe falls in. Bing, conk. Oh, no.
like the coyote and the roadrunner.
The Coyote Roadrunner. Acme bomb. The bomb falls through the roof. Bing, bong. It doesn't go off until you get near it.
Yeah.
The Roadrunner. The greatest thing. Acme roller skates.
Acme bombs, everything.
Everything's Acme. Big company way back, right?
Yeah, there are
Still
still
is.
some stores,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's one in LBI. I know that.
Well, we were getting on this, my favorite AOC, and then there's, of course, Crockett, which I just love. What did I say last week? Daniel Crockett?
Yeah, you said Daniel Crockett,
Yeah.
and I said no, that's
No,
Daniel
Daniel
Boone.
Boone.
It's Davy Crockett.
Davy Crockett.
And Daniel
Not to
Boone.
be confused with Davy Crockett.
Right.
That's a Jesse Waters thing.
Right.
So AOC, I guess, apparently, when she ran, she's from the Bronx.
She was born in the Bronx,
That's what they
but
say.
she's not.
Raised in the Bronx.
Right, at 5 years old,
Mm-hmm.
her parents decided to have a better life, and they went up to, because evidently there was a lot of crime in the Bronx, there was a lot of this,
Yeah.
and the parents says, let's go to Yorktown Heights. And
Yeah.
I've been to Yorktown Heights. It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous area in Westchester. I think it's in Westchester County up there.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, $1 million houses.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So she didn't grow up in.
No, she did not.
Now,
grow
she
up
ran on that.
Yes, she did.
And I know how it is in the Bronx, and I know this, and I know that.
Yeah, and with the Bronx people, they burn Queens people because Trump's from Queens.
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
We torture Queens people.
And apparently she won because her opponent was definitely not from the Bronx. And she kept saying it's Bronx.
Yeah.
But she went to elementary school, middle school, and high school in Yorktown Heights.
Yeah. Yep.
And then she went to Boston University for
But now,
college years.
Yorktown Heights is a lot of rich people. It's a richy area.
Well, her parents
Her
had
parents
money.
were rich. Well, I thought that she doesn't like rich people. I
No,
thought she wants to give all
right.
the money back. We can't do this. This is terrible. Like that idiot that's running for mayor.
Yeah.
See him trying to eat with his hands. He's trying to show people how diverse he is, and he's eating rice with his hands, with his fingers.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
diverse.
disgusting. He's eating everything. What a! Oh
Well,
my
what-
God.
I mean,
can't believe
sometimes-
there's people in the world that are going to vote for him.
It's scary. I mean,
it is.
you
It
know.
is scary. Yep. I mean, he wants to own the supermarkets in New York. He wants to run the supermarkets in New York. He actually-
what's it? Zoran
yeah, whatever
Mamdani.
his name is.
Yeah, Zoran
Ramadama
Mamdani.
Ding Dong. Who knows?
Ding dong.
But I mean, he thinks there should be no billionaires. No, they shouldn't be. They should give all their money away and give this away and give that away.
You know, we know that
I mean, I would like to some of it.
Yeah. we know that a lot of billionaires was handed down family over family. We understand that.
sure.
But when you go back, they worked for it.
Yes.
A lot of the billionaires
Yes.
came to this country with nothing in their
Yes.
pocket.
We have friends of ours. They talk about, oh, everybody should be equal. Oh, it's terrible.
Why can't
Some
everybody
people
get
have so
along?
much money, and I say to them, but they worked for it. They
Yeah.
got it. Yes, some people got a silver spoon in their mouth.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And don't tell me that Trump did, because Trump, his father wanted him to stay in Queens. And Trump said, "No, Dad, we're going into Manhattan." And the father said, "If you want to go into Manhattan, you're on your own."
I'm not
And
funding
he
you.
did it.
That's right.
That's right. And you know, people work for it. I know some people get handed stuff. I understand that, and they're the lucky ones.
Not
But there's
me.
a lot of people that actually worked and slaved and worked 60, 70 hours a week,
Yeah.
busting their ass to get a business going. Talk
Yeah.
to John Catsimatidis in New York. He's one. He owns WABC. Plus, he owns a bunch of supermarkets in the city.
Mm-hmm.
He did that. Worked for hours and hours and hours to get his business going.
Well, look at Musk. I mean,
Yeah, look at
everybody
Musk.
still hates Musk, but he started with nothing
That
too.
started with nothing. Yep.
And this guy works. He sleeps under his desk. This guy
Yep.
never goes home.
Yep.
That could be why he's half. Because he just came out again against this big beautiful bill.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just that he loves Trump. I know he does. He likes Trump a lot. It's just that the bill, he thinks that one section of the bill shouldn't have been in there. But hopefully,
well, now it's
if
true.
when it gets
So
passed, when it definitely gets passed, and everything, the economy
we're
starts
gonna find
rolling and
out.
everything,
Yeah.
I think everybody's going to think a little differently. Well, not the left; they'll still hate him, but people like Musk and everybody that kind of against it, like Republic, they'll see that it was actually the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I don't know if I mentioned it on mic or not, but we had a comment about ICE agents arresting American citizens.
Right.
I don't know of any one American citizen who didn't have a criminal record
Right.
that got arrested by ICE.
All right. And you get this. Did you hear about the app that you can download on your phone?
Oh, I heard about that, and they're really pissy
I
at
forget
Apple.
the name of the app, but supposedly you could go on the app and it'll tell you if there's ICE agents
Yeah,
in your town and what to do about it.
yeah. It gives you
Can you
a,
imagine
it
that?
gives you an alert to let you know, and based on where you are, it gives you an alert if ICE is in that area.
Now, why would
Here we go. I know.
the App Store
So we got to say
and
allow
Google,
that.
whatever the Google one is for the Android line,
Yeah.
why would they let you download an app like that?
Well, why would they put it on their platform?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Why would that be on the App Store and Apple? That's going against the what they're trying to.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, I don't think it's over. I think they're going to go after Apple and find out.
Well, they
Get
should.
this thing shut down.
They should. I mean, I love Apple Pro. I got a Mac. I got
Yeah.
Apple TV like crazy. I got 3 of them in my house: iPhones, iPads. I mean, but I think that's right. I don't know. I don't know.
No, you're right. It's you can't. It's like I just saw a video clip, and I watch these stupid clips all the time. There was an African American lady in the car, and she made an illegal U-turn, and she got pulled over.
Right.
And the police asked her for a license. She didn't have a license. She didn't have an insurance card. Now, the cop said at the end of this thing, because he was interviewed about this whole shebang, had she cooperated and just understood, he would have written her a warning, figure out where the license was, go get it, whatever, and written her a warning and let her on her way.
Right.
No. What happened was they asked her to turn the car off because she's not licensed. And she started screaming at him. Spitting, kicking, yelling, screaming. So now they drag her out of the car. It becomes a big escalation. I'm pregnant. You're touching me. And they had a hog tie her because she was just out of control.
Out of control. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you do that? And, here's the thing. They think by doing this, they're going to prove the point that cops are bad.
Right.
And look what they're doing.
Look
but everything's on body cam.
Right.
You see exactly what happens.
Well, look at George Floyd. If you really looked at the whole video,
right,
he went berserk on the cops and kicking the car and everybody. They don't show you that.
No.
They just show George the cop's knee, supposedly near his neck, and it wasn't even there. It was on his shoulder, and the guy died of whatever he was on drugs and
all kinds of things
all
that
sorts of
contributed
stuff.
to that.
And
I'm sure the anxiety of everything helped contribute too. But
but. There's an example right there. They don't show you the whole video of him screaming and yelling and I can't breathe. He wasn't doing anything.
He was still in his car.
Yeah, he was still he's kicking. I can't breathe. He's kicking the back of the seat. I can't breathe.
Yeah. So a lot of people use that, by the way.
And that whole thing was the Black Lives Matter crap.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get hits for this, but the Black Lives Matter crap.
White Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. I agree.
They exploited that man's death to get money. just for the line their pockets. Whoever the ladies were that started
Yeah,
that
she's
whole
living in a
thing.
mansion with a big
What a
wall.
crock of shit!
I know.
It was it was
And believe me, and as bad as his rap sheet that he had and all this, but that goes to show you they don't care who they step on, their own people.
right. Yep.
That was the guy died.
Right.
No matter how you look at it.
Right.
And then they're trying to cash in on this stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like I said, she lives in a big
Black
house with a
Lives
wall
Matter.
around it. She's
What
safe
a
now.
crock of shit that was. God.
Whole neighborhoods. They finally got rid of all that
Burning
stuff.
cars, burning houses, burning businesses, and then the CNN
let it
people.
go.
These are peaceful protests. People are getting mugged and killed, and cars burning behind them and everything.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So we're busy. So it's been a busy week.
Yep.
And always a lot to talk about. So we'll see where this bill goes next.
Yep.
By next week, we'll know he wants to sign it by July 4th.
Yeah.
That was his goal. And part of, I think, this filibustering thing they did for 15, 20 hours was try to make sure he didn't get it done because he said he wanted it done by July 4th. But now it's through. We get it back to the House real quick. Hopefully he'll sign it by Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think next week, we're going to maybe go see F1. We'll do a review on it next time.
Yeah. Yeah. F1, the movie?
Yeah, the movie, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it. We can get
my daughter saw it. She said it was terrific.
Really?
Yeah.
Brad
And they're not
Pitt.
into racing. I mean, they are, but it's not like you and I are into it. Or
Well,
know
and if
anything
they're not
about it.
into racing and like the movie,
Yeah.
then it must have been a good story,
Yeah.
too, behind it.
They said it was long, but I think they said it was close to 3 hours.
Oh, I'll be sleeping. We better go to IMAX where it's real loud.
Yeah, right.
You know
Well, they
what
have
I
a
mean?
new theater at AMC over in Easton.
Yeah.
Supposedly they have a dedicated room now with, I don't know if it's IMAX, they called it something else, but theater. I mean, they did have theater seating in the past, but this is supposed to be terrific, and they
Like
just
sound?
redid it.
Okay.
The sound, the theater, and then the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
All right, so we got to try to get there before next week's episode.
Yeah.
Which we can. We got 4th of July coming
I like
up.
to have popcorn and a Coke. Always got to have popcorn and a Coke. My wife wants to see it too, so we'll take her.
Okay.
It has Brad Pitt. Oh, got to see
Ooh,
it.
Brad Pitt. Won't be long before he's old and gray like us.
Yeah, that's right.
Then we'll see what happens. Then we'll see who's hanging out.
Right, that's right.
Oh, my husband's much more handsome now. Yeah, because Brad Pitt's 92
Yeah.
when your husband's dead.
Yeah.
So everybody out there, we're going to wrap. I want you to have a great 4th of July. Let's
right.
show some patriotism in
That's
this
right.
country, whether you're a Trump fan or not. We live in a great country. I don't care what anybody says.
That's right.
And you don't have to worry about getting picked up off the street from ICE unless you're an illegal criminal.
That's right.
You'll be fine. So be out in your picnic. Don't worry. ICE is not coming to your backyard. Everybody will be fine.
And just to give a little plug here, starting on July 12th, I'm going to have a picture or two in a photo gallery in Stroudsburg. And the name of the gallery is 530 Main Street. I'm going to be hanging some pictures there. There's going to be a lot of people hanging stuff there. But it's going to be a gallery. It's going to last for about a month and a half.
Wow.
All the way to the July or August 31st.
Did they contact you?
I heard about it through Casey, my daughter.
Okay.
So I called and I went up there and I talked to the owner.
Showed him some of your work?
Yeah, well, I did show him, and he said, and this show is supposed to be all about animals, anything to do with animals.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
birds, bears,
Right.
giraffes,
Alligators.
groundhogs.
Alligators?
What's that?
Alligators?
Alligators, yes. That's what I should do. I should go down there and take some pictures of
Yeah,
them.
of somebody trying to escape.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. Alligators don't attack people. Guy's in a death roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Told you not to leave.
Yep.
You want to leave? Get on a plane.
Yep.
Anyway, that wraps 28 already.
Yep, that does.
And we are growing. Guys, I want to say thanks, by the way. The subscriptions are growing. We broke over 500 on Facebook. I'm sorry, on YouTube. And climbing quick. We're getting like 30, 40 subscribers every few days.
Yep.
So I appreciate it. Keep it coming.
Yep.
Whether you like us or not, subscribe. And sometimes we say things on both ends of the stick.
Yeah. I want to shout out to our restaurant that we go to every Tuesday, Pizza Joe's in Nazareth. And the reason why I say that because I just saw a podcast for Pizza Fellas there, which they're from the Lehigh Valley, and they do reviews on restaurants, not just pizza, even though called the Fellas, but they do a good job in rating pizza shops and
Yeah,
restaurants and Pizza Joe's in Nazareth. Joe and I have been going there now for over a year and a half, 2 years, and
yeah,
it's really good. They serve nice food and everything.
yeah, that we're plugging that, but we're plugging that podcast too. They're a bunch of local guys.
Yeah.
Don't have any kids in the room though. They curse a lot.
Yeah, they like to curse. I
But the
mean,
Pizza
I like to
Fellas,
curse a little bit. These guys really curse.
well, Pizza Fellas, you got to understand, they're all Italian, right? And they
Oh
got
yeah.
the cigar and they got a bourbon, and that's their
I want to ask
podcast.
them one question: is it gravy or sauce?
Sauce, yeah. Actually, we're going to ask you: is it gravy or sauce?
That's right.
You know,
In
put
the
it in the
comments,
comments.
leave a thing in the comments because we're from North Jersey, and in North Jersey, all Italians say gravy.
Yeah, Sicily, and
Joe's
yeah,
all Italian. I'm half Italian. So,
yeah.
where are you
So
from? Where Sicily? Is that what
my
you're?
dad was from Sicily. That's where the gravy
Where's
thing
your
comes
mother
from.
from?
Like Calabrese up north,
Calabrese.
up north somewhere.
Yep.
I don't know. I was never there. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. My mom, just my mom is Italian, so that's is all from Naples. Nabladan, as they say.
Yeah,
Yep.
nice. All right. We will see you next week. Have a great 4th of July,
Yep.
and be careful out there when you're lighting fireworks. Don't blow your head off because
Right.
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So we'll see you. See you
All right.
next time. I'm Joe.
And I'm Bill.
See ya.
See you next week. Bye.